Good afternoon, Facebook. I am so sorry about what's going on. Thank you so much for joining. It's the Civilized Presence. Please comment in and let us know if you can hear us. It's important that we know that you can hear us. Just give us a moment. Let's see if Facebook is ready to be friendly this time. Otherwise, we have other ways to get you to be part of what we're doing. So just give us a moment. Okay. Welcome, Facebook. Hello, Sister Eileen. Thank you so much for joining. Let me know where you're joining us from. It's the Civilized Presence. We were struggling with connection at one point, but I'm happy that we're back now. So thank you. Thank you for making out time. Sister Eileen, just give us a moment. Facebook is a little funny this afternoon, but we're ready to go. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Civilized Presence, thank you. Just give us 1 second. I'm trying to make sure that everyone is part of this session. It's great to have all of you here. So come on in and let me know where you're joining us from. Sister Eileen says it's always a pleasure to have her here. Yep, that's my sister from Illinois. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. It's great to have you. Welcome. Yeah, Facebook is being a little funny. Stealthy, it's good to have you in the house. It's going to be a great message. Please come on into the main video. Dr. Jummer, please come into the main video. It's great to have you. Facebook is being a little funny, but we're going to make it. So thank you so much for making out time to be here. Thank you, all of you. Thank you. I can see people on different screens. I'm just trying to make sure that we have it all in one place. So just, yes. Okay. Perfect. So we're good to go. Perfect. So we're good to go. Yes. So we're looking forward to the information. It's always great, but I don't know what's wrong with Facebook. So good afternoon, everyone. It's good to have you in the house. My name is Dr. Louisa Akaizo. Where are you joining us from? I am so thrilled that you made out time to be here. I don't know what Facebook is doing, but listen, guys, I hope that you have your pen and paper. It is time for us to learn. We have one of the best in the house, Dr. Margaret, Ellis, and we're ready to hit it off. So, guys, how are you doing? I know that, there's so much happening in the world, so much losses, so much pain. Everyone is not in that great place, but come on and let us have a party this afternoon. Welcome, Bolude. It's good to have you in the house. Thank you so much. Dr. Patrick, it's great to have you in the house. Thank you so much. Yes, Facebook is messing up a little bit. My sister Linda, it's great to have you in the house. And let us know where you're joining us from. Let me know if you can see me and hear me. I am so honored that you're joining me from different screens, but we're having trouble having it on one screen. But we're just going to have fun with that. Now, if you've never met me before, I am a master civility trainer, a woman development advocate, and author for several books, a leadership expert with the John Maxwell team. Now, what I do is that I work confidently with leaders and professionals that place great importance in themselves and their reputation. And of course, that's going to be you this afternoon because you made up time to be here. And I'm so honored that you made up time to be here. Welcome, Som. It's good to have you. Welcome, Eric. It's good to have you. Welcome, Linda. It's good to have you. Guys, let me know where you're joining us from. I want you to be able to come into the video and say hello because you have to say hello. I want to treat you as the VIP that you are, and I want you to do the same to me too. So the conversation we're having today is one that is very, I'm very, very passionate about, and that has to do with relationship. I want to believe that that's what brought you here today. But before I get things started, let me introduce to you my wonderful guest, which is Dr. Margaret Ellis. And Dr. Margaret Ellis is in the house. If you've never seen her before, this is not her first time. She's been around a couple of times, and she is a seasoned thought leader in this area of leadership, relationship, marriage. She's an influence coach. Guys, hold on. Let me tell you who this lady is. So Dr. Margaret Ellis is an author of several books. If you've heard about her foundation, Coaches of Influence Foundation, she's a youth and women champion, certified international speaker, leadership, marriage, and influence coach, and of course, she is a teacher. Yes. So if you want to get in class today, Dr. Margaret, if you spend 1 minute with Dr. Margaret, there's always something to learn from Dr. Margaret. So you want to come in with your books, come in with your pencils, whatever you want to do. And of course, your cup of water, you want to stay hydrated because this is some great information that you're going to be learning today. Then Dr. Margaret is also the CEO of Classic Consulting and the founder of Coaches of Influence. She is on a mission to empower female leaders, entrepreneurs, supermoms, and all women to be, do, have, and become more. So that makes me so happy that somebody is so passionate and loves working with women, not just working with women, but she's interested in developing other leaders. So if you are here, just like me, and you want to be, do, and have more, you want to be able to experience the next level, you want to be able to find some kind of clarity on why you were created anyways, or you are interested in finding your path, your message, and just doing the next big thing. Like Sikani says, the next level, right? We have Sikani in the house. Welcome. Dr. Margaret is the right person to be working with. And so today she's going to be talking about something that she's so passionate and known for. Dr. Margaret is going to be discussing on the topic of relationships. So I don't know how many of you have seen the post of today, but if you haven't, let me tell you what it is. So relationships today, we're talking about civilized relationships. How can you build or strengthen your dating, your marriage, your relationships with people during and post-COVID? Now, if you've been looking at the news or you've been reading the media, you would have seen somehow that the numbers are going crazy in terms of divorce, in terms of abuse, in terms of discrimination, in terms of depression, mental health. All the numbers are really terrifying. Now, the question in your mind is, when is COVID-19 going to roll away? I don't know. Nobody knows. There is no expiry date. So COVID-19 is here to stay. Oh, I know you want to push me away, but yes, it is here for now. And we have to be able to manage ourselves, manage our relationships. This is not the time when you want to throw your daughter or your son out of the window. You can't do that. Okay? Or if you're a man, this is not when you want to throw your wife out of the window or when you don't want to talk to anyone. I know there are days that you don't feel like you want to speak to anyone because there's so much happening that brings you pain. But it is important that you at least learn the tips and strategies, just in case you want to be able to relate with someone, that you're going to do that in such a civilized manner. And that's why we're here this afternoon, and welcome, Coach Idong. It's good to have you in the house. Carol Bishop, it's wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much, Sandra. Thank you, guys. And let me know where you're joining us from, what country, what city. I want to be able to give you a shout out because I'm right here in Virginia and Dr. Margaret is in Arizona. So where are you joining me from? I have sisters and brothers from everywhere, from Africa, from the UK, from Kenya. I can see Ghana. I can see Ireland. I can see Nigeria is in the house. Woo, woo, woo. Sister Emma, it's good to have you in the house. So coming in, this is not one of those sessions where you're just going to be listening, but I want you to be able to bring in your questions, bring in the conversation. The expert is in the house. This is what she does. Dr. Margaret has spoken on global stages all over the world. She's very well known. Guys, you know that I bring the best to the house. At least you should be able to give me some thumbs up, because when I bring someone here, they are the best. They are the best. We don't work with anything apart from the best. So you have to be the best by working with us and listening to what we have to offer, and of course, putting this into practice. So, Dr. Margaret, my first question for you this afternoon, and I'm so honored to have you here, my sister. Thank you so much for making up time to be here. You know,
Louisa, it's really an honor to be with you. Just the energy you bring, it's enough to draw me to your platform. So thank you for having me.
thank you, thank you, thank you. You make me better every day. So I have my first question for you. How are you feeling today, Dr. Margaret? I know it's crazy everywhere. How is it in Arizona?
I am doing great, and that is a choice.
Mm,
Because a lot of things are happening around us every day, but it's a choice to feel great.
mm,
And that's what I've chosen today. I choose to feel great. It's hot outside. It's really, really hot. We've been in excessive heat for
mm.
about a couple of weeks now, almost a couple of weeks. It's very hot outside, but I am indoors and I'm grateful that I'm not in the heat. I'm grateful for so many other things. So I made a choice to feel great.
Wow. Thank you so much. Yes. Happiness is a choice, guys. I mean, you know what? We choose to be great. Like, we cannot, let me put it this way. You cannot choose what happens to you, but you can control and decide and choose how you relate to it. We have all lost, let me tell you, we have all lost people around us this period. You might be asking, I don't think Louisa has lost anyone. I have. I had a funeral on Saturday, but I choose to be happy today. I choose to look forward to a brighter day. And I'm happy because you're here. Come on. I think I'm the wealthiest person. Look at all these beautiful people from Kenya, from Ghana, from Uganda, from the US, from Nigeria. I mean, who is more wealthy than I am? I think people are wealth. It's not about money. The fact that you have people. So, guys, if nobody has told you this since the beginning of COVID, I want to tell you that I love you very much. I love you. I might not be right beside you, but I'm stretching out my hand because at this time in the world where there's so much pain, we just need to hear it and hear it again that somebody loves us. And if no one is saying it to you, Louisa loves you. Okay? If nobody made you feel good, come on, hang out with me, and you should be able to rub off on some kind of energy from me. So welcome. Thank you so much, Sister Dorcas. It's great to have you. Another Kenya. Dr. Jared, it's good to have you, Kenya. Michael Larson, thank you for joining us. It's so wonderful to have you here. Coach ID, it's good to have you in the house. Coach ID, you're going to love Dr. Margaret. She's amazing. Dr. Branch, it's good to have you in the house. Thank you so much for making out time to be here. Thank you, my sister Marilyn. Thank you. Thank you so much. So we're just going to go back to the topic of today. Reverend Rajan is here from South Africa. Guys, I have to do the happy dance. Are you happy where you are? Because I'm too happy. Listen, you need to do the happy dance. Don't get stuck on all the negativity. Don't. We have to be together. Because what happens is that when you're so angry and pained, you pass it on to your loved ones. And that's something we have to learn today. There's so much happening in the world, but when you come home, bring some peace. Let people be happy because they connected with you. Let people be happy because they experienced you. And that's what civility is all about. So I don't know if you're just joining us here for the first time. We're usually here Mondays and Fridays, but we have special sessions on other days like today. Welcome, Stephanie. Great to have you in the house. Welcome, Sam. It's amazing to have you here. Thank you so much for making out time to be here. Now, civility, usually, this is what we do on Mondays and Fridays. The conversation is about breaking down the concept of civility into tiny bits for you to embrace and understand how easy but important for you to be civil. And civility is focused on positive people's treatment, treating others the way that you want to be treated. And it's so important that we have to take that on. That's our responsibility. We have to affirm that every single day. If it's something you've never done before, you must be ready to begin today and say to yourself, the first thing you want to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I am greatness. And the next thing is that I'm going to treat everyone like greatness because we're all going through pain. That's the only way it's going to work. We're here talking about relationship building, but there is no way we're going to succeed if you're not ready to love one another. So, guys, let me take you on this journey with Dr. Margaret Ellis as we discuss some of the challenges of relationships that we find today. So what are you struggling with? Are you one of those? Are you like me sometimes, like you're so tired? After you've had to cook the whole day and you had to work, and then another little child is saying mommy, and you're just like, no, I don't need you to call me mommy right now. I need to rest. And you're human. But Dr. Margaret is going to teach us the right way to work with the kids. She's going to teach us the right way what to say to them, because the kids are also experiencing the same kind of stress. Your spouse is experiencing the same thing. Women, I know that we love attention, but they love attention too. Okay, I know people want to beat me up, but that's okay. I'm bringing out the truth today, because we have to be able to survive together. And if we do not do this, we will struggle. So, guys, if you're having trouble seeing the video, please come into the main video and welcome Catrell. It's good to have you here from Canada. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. And Sister Dorcas says, I refuse to be stuck in negativity. I love you for that. Thank you. Thank you for that comment. So, Dr. Margaret, the first thing I want us to talk about is, what is going on with relationships? What are some of the challenges everywhere that people are facing, especially during the COVID, with the crisis? What are some of the major, challenges that people are facing? Dr. Margaret, over to you.
Well, thank you so much, Louisa. Thank you once again for having me. And I hope everyone that's joined in is ready to journey along with us as we talk about relationships. It's very important because relationships make up our being. We are who we are because of people that we are surrounded by, people that we do life with, whether that's a spouse, whether that's a partner, whether that's a friend, whether that's family member, whether that's a child or children. People we do life with make life what it is. So right now in this COVID-19, we were not prepared for what is going on in our world. We all started the year with great plans of losing weight, of looking better, of maintaining, a clean hairdo all the time. We planned on accelerating our businesses. We planned on traveling, vacation time. So many things were planned, and then all of a sudden, our lives were interrupted by COVID-19. And it's not just a small interruption, it's major. It's major to the point we are limited as to where we can go. We are bound in one place per se. And human beings want freedom. We want to move around. We like to walk. We like to have control and be in control. That's just a natural tendency. And so when that is taken away from us, it has a way of affecting us in so many different ways. And for relationships, especially, we went from waking up in the morning and going in different directions. Some had to travel away from home during the week. Some had to drive to work and back. Kids had to go to school and come back home. Even for the kids that are homeschooled, maybe one parent works away from the house. So these two adults that are in the relationship had space and time to decompress. They had space and time to connect with themselves. They had space and time to spend time alone. But we are now faced with a situation where we are spending day in, day after day together in one place, week after week. And over time, because we are normal, this has nothing to do with love. Love is still in place. Well, it is just normal that after some time, we can feel overwhelmed, because and tension can arise when people feel overwhelmed, because adults just need that time and space alone. They need to connect with their soul. And it seems like we have lost that freedom and that privilege to sit in a corner, to go anywhere in the park, by the pool, to go anywhere in a restaurant, sit outside and just connect with your soul. Whatever we used to do to connect with our inner man, some of that has been taken away, if not all of it. And so for most adults right now, stress and anxiety it has become the order of the day, whether it is stress and anxiety over what's happening at work. It could be stress and anxiety over the relationship at home. It could be stress and anxiety because you are worried about who could get sick in the household and what that will look like. Yeah. There are so many things that we are concerned about, and it's have nothing to do with faith. It's just normal for a human being to feel some of that in this time. and our social connections we had outside of the home at work, social connections we had with clients, social connections we had with people in the different organizations where we serve. All
Yeah.
of that has been taken away. And so all of this may lead people, especially couples in a marriage, it may lead them to frustration, and at the wrong time and the wrong place, they will tend to release that. So we have, there are about, in general, 5 areas that we are struggling with in general in this COVID-19. In our relationships, we see an increase, Louisa, like you were saying earlier, we see an increase in small fights and disputes
Mm.
over little things that don't even matter. We
Mm.
see we see because of that, there is no space and time to decompress. There is that internal frustration that is expressed outwardly.
Mm.
We see a lot of conflict rising,
Mm.
conflict over different things, conflict over even spending $20 versus spending 10, little
Mm.
things, because there is the inside of the human being, there is some element of fear, fear
Mm.
of the unknown, fear of what could happen, fear of where we are going, fear of what the future looks like,
Right.
fear of sickness and fear of death. It is real. And we have communication challenges right now. When you are dealing with fear and all these other emotions that are rolling inside of you, it's very natural to not think about the other party but think about yourself,
Right.
and that brings challenges in communication and connection. I think that's an area that's affected the most, is in relationships right now, marriages, in relationships of love, is connection, even with children, connecting, sister to sister connecting, a father and mother connecting, husband and wife connecting, I mean friends connecting. Little things now these days put us on edge. The text messages we used to tolerate, we cannot tolerate anymore.
Mm.
The questions that we allow people to ask us now, when someone asks you two questions or three, by the third question, you're already frustrated, you're irritated, you can't go back and forth on text, you prefer to just shut them out. I don't have time for this today, because we are just sitting on the edge. So these are major 5 areas, Louisa, that we are struggling with, and it's the underlying factor is the COVID-19 and all the impact that it has on us as human beings.
Wow, thank you so much for that. And of course, we have a lot more people who are joining. Linz, it's good to have you in the house. Catrell, it's good to have you in the house. The CDB, it's good to have you in the house. Esther, it's good to have you. Gwanger, thank you so much for making out time to be here. It's the civilized presence. You're definitely in the right place at the right time. So just give us a moment for our promotional video. Okay, so welcome back. It's the Civilized Presence. Are you here for the first time? You are definitely in the right place at the right time. Come on in and let me know where you're joining us from. Is it your first time? Did you invite someone? So step aside and invite someone. Share this video on your page, put it on your page, your business page. Invite your friends and family, your neighbors, your enemies too. Because if they learn the right tips, they're not going to be fighting with you. What kind of life would that be? I mean, that would be a great, a wonderful world just because they learned something from Dr. Margaret. And we're talking about relationships. How can you build civilized relationships? It's so important. COVID is here. The pandemic is here. And the pandemic, sadly, is not just aiming at destroying our world or our health, but it's also reshaped our personal relationships. It's also reshaped the way that we look at people, the way that we tolerate people. And Dr. Margaret just talks about how we communicate, how we connect with people. We begin to fight, like tiny little cats and dogs who are fighting every minute. I mean, siblings are fighting, spouses are fighting, people. Everyone is just fighting. The government is fighting. No, we don't want to talk about that. We're in the US, but we're fighting anyways. And so it's important that we learn how to connect, we learn how to coexist with one another because there is no way out. Most airports are closed down, so there's no way to run to. We
Right.
to work together, whether you like it or not. So, guys, that's the conversation. And bring in your questions that you have. What have you struggled with? What have you experienced? I bet you that everyone on the show has experienced some form of incivility. You've experienced some form of rudeness ever since the COVID started. And the excuse is that it's because of COVID. Everyone is stressed out. You call companies on the phone and customer service is zero. Everyone is so impatient. People hang up the phone on you. Your spouse is screaming. The children are screaming. Everyone is just screaming. Your date is screaming. You can't even go on a date because we're on lockdown, anyways. So, what are we going to do? And that's what the conversation is about. Welcome, my sister Mercy. It's good to have you here from Houston. Thank you so much for joining us. So, Dr. Margaret, I want us to talk about a big portion of this, which is conflict. How can spouses, how can parents, what's the best way for us to be able to resolve conflict, especially in the heat of the moment? Everywhere is just so hot, and everyone feels like just kind of hitting the next person. The best thing to do. Time over to you.
You know, Louisa, thank you. I'm glad you asked that question. And because we see conflict, and that's very closely connected to small fights, disputes. Conflict, the root of conflict is misunderstanding. What we see, conflict is the fruit, but the root is miscommunication, misunderstanding, and an unresolved dispute. That's what leads to conflict. And what is happening with that is these are surfacing even in the most solid relationships. So these days we cannot brag about the fact that my marriage is solid, my family is solid, we are unshakable. What is happening in the world is shaking all of us. And so everybody is affected one way or the other. We just have to be very attentive to understand what is happening. And conflict can be triggered by stress. It can be triggered by disagreements.
Yes.
I already shared it is triggered by frustration felt within by one party and expressed outwardly. It could be one party or it can be both of them. But it begins with one party and the other party responds. And when they respond, then now conflict ensues. And this is all if we are able to approach communication effectively.
Yes.
We will be able to manage conflict well, because the root of conflict is miscommunication and misunderstanding. So some of the things that we need to consider these days is that everyone is sitting on edge and everyone is dealing with something. You know, the fact that we used to have maybe one couple or one person or one of the couples in the relationship or even children, people were we were out of the house. We are not conditioned as human beings to stay within the four corners and just stay there for days and weeks.
Right.
We are conditioned to explore, to walk around, to smell the roses, to feel the breeze and feel the heat. That's how we're conditioned. So when we are stuck in one place in the four corners, and we are literally, our minds have now been conditioned, the routine, we have mastered it. We don't even need to look where we're going. We know the bedroom, the kitchen, the living room, the bathroom, the bedroom, the living room, the kitchen, the bathroom. Over time, it can create internal frustration. That's not even considering the frustration that's going on at work. There is tension in our nation. There is tension in many nations of the world. Yes. There is tension between one race to another. And all this that's happening with the riots, with that was happening at work, with layoffs, with people losing their jobs, with people getting sick and dying. And in so many states and so many cities, they are running out of hospital beds. And this is announced in the news. There is fear, there is sickness, there is death, there is everything around us. We will be afraid. We will have some element of confusion inside. We'll have some element of frustration and anger because we cannot control what is happening. So the best thing to do, one of the things to consider this time is to work on you. Louisa, I think everything begins with me. And if I can manage me and I can talk to me and I can control me and I can reason with me, yes, then whatever happens with me, I can share with anybody else. But it's easier to point a finger. The reason we have conflict because one person thinks they are right and the other is wrong. Right. And because I think you are wrong and you think I am wrong, now we are pointing fingers at each other. But if I focus on me and building my communication and making sure that I'm not bottling up things to avoid small disagreements, because sometimes we try to avoid small disagreements and we groom something bigger.
Mm.
I like the proverb my mom used to say that um, the python was once a snake.
Mm.
It was never born a python. It was born as a snake. And because it had room to grow, to groom, and stretch its muscles without control, it has now turned into a python.
Right.
So whatever we see ending up in the courts in the form of divorce, it started as a small dispute. It
Right.
started as disagreement that wasn't controlled or managed. It started as misunderstanding that wasn't dealt with. So it goes from being a snake to being a python.
Wow.
So we need to work on our relation. Be very clear in our relationship about our needs, our desires, our fears. I think sometimes we have the tendency to sugarcoat and speak in parables. And
Mm.
sometimes the person you are speaking with cannot understand you because you're not direct.
Mm.
Direct doesn't mean disrespect. This show is about civility.
Mm.
Direct means that I'm going to communicate honestly, authentically. I'm going to be transparent, but going to be as respectful as I can be. But don't sugarcoat and don't speak in parables. Now, instead of telling your spouse, I am just really feeling exhausted about cooking 3 meals a day and running to the grocery store twice a week, I need help. Instead of saying that, you decide to go around and start speaking in parables. Oh my God, I believe that one of these days I'm just going to drop dead in the street because of all this running around back and forth in the grocery store. I'm just exhausted. My life is exposed. I think that one of these days I'm going to catch something because I'm always the one outside going out to get food. Be direct and be respectful, because when your spouse hears something like that sounds like complaining, it irritates them.
That is true.
Be very direct. Don't speak in parables. Whoever they are, your son, your daughter, your sister, whoever lives with you that needs to take up some of that responsibility, just be very direct. I think I'm going to need help this upcoming couple of weeks with the groceries. If you can go to the store, that will really help me. I'm beginning to feel tired or exhausted, or it's very treacherous out there. And I think it's just better that I'm not the only one going out all the time. Don't sugarcoat. Don't speak in parables. Don't tell them, oh my God, I was speaking to my friend Louisa, and oh my God, Louisa's husband is the best husband one can ever find because he's going to the grocery store, he's helping Louisa with the kitchen and cooking. That's not the best way to communicate to your spouse you need help. Just be direct. Just be direct and seek understanding of issues. The root of conflict is misunderstanding. If you seek understanding of issues, understanding of situations, understanding of feelings and perspectives, and you
Yeah.
only do that by asking questions instead of accusing.
Right.
So we are so good at assessing people, even though we can see them. By a text message I receive from you, I can just decide to assess you and put you in a box. That Louisa has an attitude today, or Louisa is this or that. But what I'm assessing is totally wrong, because I'm not seeing things through your eyes. I don't know the state that you were in at the time of sending that message. So if I'm really concerned, and this is a relationship that we must build, I must find a way to communicate to you what is going on my end and seek understanding of what's going on your end. And I think if we do that, we eliminate the opportunity for conflict. It's not cannot be eliminated, but we can minimize that opportunity for conflict and we can handle it better. Communication is key. The root, again, what I want our listeners to go walk away with is that the root of conflict is misunderstanding, miscommunication, and also just accusing the other person, not willing to see things through their own eyes. And when that happens, it's going to breed and turn into a python, which is conflict.
Wow, this is so wonderful. We have a lot of comments, and welcome, my sister Charmer. That's an image consultant based in Nigeria. It's so good to have you in the house. And I have a comment from Coach ID said, communicate instead of complain. That is so true. And then my sister Charmer, we have something from her. Don't sugarcoat. Be honest. I know, because women, we love to sugarcoat. We love to go around in circles. And welcome, Joanne. It's good to have you in the house. Another comment from Coach ID. We are in uncertain and disruptive times, and this can be very frustrating. especially for people who are used to a scheduled life. That is so true. That is so true. Yes. It is very frustrating for everyone, but we just have to get to the place where we can manage each other. I mean, accommodate each other, love each other. And then Sister Eileen said, my husband and I agreed to ask non-judgmental questions to help us understand each other better. This eliminates negative conflict. I love that.
That's
I
a good
love
approach. That's a good approach. You will never go wrong asking questions,
yes.
but
And
you will be very wrong assuming.
yeah, yeah, it's pretty easy to assume actually. Reverend Rajan from South Africa, some comments from him said conflict is a spirit that triggers the flesh. People don't hear what you say, they interpret what you say. Many times it's misinterpreted, which causes miscommunication. It's also good to have you here in the house, sir. Thank you so much. And Dr. Joy, it's wonderful to have you in the house. It's the civilized presence. If you're just here for the first time, the discussion today is about building civilized relationships, guys. We are here, we're stuck with our partners. Some of us are single and we're trying to go on a date. I know it's difficult, there's nowhere to go. And really talking on the phone now can be frustrating. Sometimes you don't even want to pick up the phone. Guys, who is on that table with me? Sometimes you don't want to pick up the phone. Sometimes you don't want to do anything. Like you just want to be in your own space. But let me tell you, I mean, everyone is relying on you. If you want to go back into your box, what's going to happen to the kids? What's going to happen to your spouse? What's going to happen to your friends? What's going to happen to your siblings, your parents? We have to reach out to them. Do you know how our parents are feeling at this age? They never ever saw COVID coming. Like, excuse me? It's like, what is COVID? I have a colleague of mine who said, Louisa, I don't know what I'm going to do to my dad. I keep asking him to wear a mask and he walks out of the house with no mask. And I said, listen, this man has never worn a mask before. You have to educate him on putting on a mask. So guys, we have to be patient. We have to be patient. And this is going to take us to the next question for you, Dr. Margaret. I know you talked about us not having enough space or time to decompress. And of course, as humans, we enjoy our space, we enjoy freedom. And so we feel frustrated. We feel like we're under house arrest.
Right.
Now, how can we be able to build connection with each other? Now that all of these things have happened, I mean, it's a madhouse everywhere. What can we do now, Dr. Margaret? Over to you.
Yeah, thank you. I will share some of the things I do. That when we have no space to compress and we feel down in this little space, what it causes is a lot of internal stress.
Yes.
Because there is no room anymore to focus and think clearly. There's no room anymore. There's a feeling of I don't know about anyone else. I love my children to death. I'm a mother, both by nature and by career. But I'm saying that caring for children 24/7 can become overwhelming.
Yes, ma'am.
I had an opportunity to drop them off at my sister's house and shopping alone. And that shopping alone was my time to decompress. I had time to leave them at home with their dad and go out, or my mom. Or my husband had opportunity to go out for a men's breakfast on a Saturday morning for 2 hours. And he's talking to other men, fellowshipping with other men. And that's his way to maintain sanity.
Yes.
But then now we are locked up in this place and we have nowhere to go. So what happens with the human being is that it begins to affect us mentally.
Yes.
Because the mind is the garden.
Yes.
All this everything we feel, we dump it in this place, in the garden, in the mind. So things that we can do is to focus on mental health. And mental health, I'm not only talking about a diagnosis where you have to take medication or have to be in therapy. I'm talking about day to day, what we need to do to make sure that we are maintaining sanity and we are healthy. Because, Louisa, this is something I say all the time. What we carry is what we share.
Yes.
What is inside of us is what we give to everyone. Everybody gets a piece of me, and whatever comes out of me is how I feel on the inside. And sometimes we think we can mask it. We can mask it with everything. We hide behind a lot of things. As human beings, we hide behind a lot. But it doesn't matter what you hide behind. COVID is here and it has found a way to expose what has been hidden.
That's true.
So we need to be intentional now about being healthy, being emotionally healthy. And one way to do that is find time to spend alone. So what we've been doing is that my husband loves to take a walk. So he has his own walk schedule where no one goes with him. He opens the door, he goes, he leaves, and he's gone for an hour or so. He walks, and that's the time for him to do whatever he needs to do, decompress, and come back fresh.
Absolutely.
And I have my own time alone where I choose something, an area in the house where I have time alone. We have time that we send our kids, we allow them to take a nap, or we give them a book to read, or we ask them to go spend time alone. It's important that everyone spends time alone. So for my kids, I bought them devotionals. And every morning I have them sit there and read the devotional and write down what they got from the devotional, because that's their time alone. Everybody needs that time. We spend time together, but we find time in this small space to have time alone. And we need to be also, another tip that would be very, very applicable is choosing your battles and choosing your weapons. We have to think about what is worth fighting about and what we can let go, and what weapons we choose to employ when we are fighting these battles.
Yes.
If you choose to use harsh words to fight, it may end up in a real fight. But if you choose love and forgiveness and communication, effective communication when you handle issues, that weapon can take you a long way. So choosing our battles and choosing our weapons as well. Taking a break from each other. We love each other and all that, but we need time alone to practice self-care. What I am doing right now is time alone, Louisa. It's my time away from my family. It's time away from your family. You and I are connecting. We are connecting with other people outside, because as human beings, we need a social life.
Absolutely.
And this is the time for social life, and this is a time to be away from family so I can practice self-care. What I'm talking to you about is I'm also receiving. It's coming out of me, and I'm also receiving knowledge from what you're sharing and all the comments that everybody's sending. And we need to talk about our feelings and talk about them honestly. There's a lot of fear. There is stress. It's very imminent. If we don't talk about it, it's going to show up somewhere else. So let's be very honest and transparent about our feelings. If you feel disappointed about something, tell the other party. If you want them to handle a situation better next time, tell them. But also the other party that you are sharing with have to be open to that feedback and understand your position instead of judging you.
Yes.
And we need to also recognize the stress factors. What is causing me stress? Just yesterday, I was doing a devotional with my husband, and the devotional posed some questions that we had to answer. And some of these questions had to draw us back to what is causing some of our internal frustration or stress. It is real. I have a great marriage, but frustration and stress is real because of the world we live in.
It is.
And there's no facade about that. We need to be very honest and transparent with ourselves. We cannot grow until we accept that there is room for growth.
That's true.
So we have to talk about what are the stress, recognizing the root of the stress. And when you deal with, most of the times as human beings, we handle things from the top. And when we handle it on the outside, we're not really, we need to go to the bottom, the root and the source. And that's the best way to handle it. So we have to go to the root and identify, write down, both of us separately, what is causing some of the stress. What are the stress factors? And once we identify, then we agree on the weapons we're going to employ to handle them, to address them. And managing your emotional gauge. I think that is one area we all struggle in. Response should be calculated. How you respond should be carefully calculated. You can't just respond with your feelings. Manage that emotional gauge. When you see it rising, just like when we drive our vehicles, our eyes are on the dashboard. We pay attention to the gauge. We pay attention to the gas gauge. We pay attention to the speed gauge. We have to pay attention to our emotional gauge.
That is true.
We have to be able to catch ourselves when we hear our voices going louder, or when we see our responses getting short and harsh and disrespectful, we have to catch ourselves and correct ourselves instantly. Don't allow people to always have to point things out to you, because then that becomes a source, a reason for conflict.
That's true.
Be the one that examines yourself daily, reflect, examine, and find ways to grow and adjust yourself. I think these are all around mental health. And if we do this, then it will help us to find ways to decompress. We will not feel so choked. We
Yeah.
will feel like we are breathing, and we are breathing normally, even amid the pandemic.
Wow, this is so powerful. I loved when you talked about the emotional gauge, because I'm of African descent, and I think the most interesting people in the world are Nigerians, guys. I don't know. I'm not trying to be partial, but sometimes if you can understand the pidgin English, you're gonna have a good laugh. And and sometimes, people talk about, the emotional gauge thing in a different way of how anger has got its different levels. So I think that's what you're talking about. And it's so important that we're able to identify this and know where our weaknesses are, know how much we can handle at a point, um,
Yes.
and be able to manage that. And this is all about learning about self. When you spend time with yourself, you begin to learn about who you are, you
Right.
begin to learn about what you can tolerate. Because sometimes, as mothers, as women, we feel that we can do it all. We
Mm.
feel that we have all the answers. And Coach ID says, pay attention to your emotional gauge. This is so good. Emotional intelligence. Yes, emotional intelligence is number one. It's so important. It's not just about you wanting people to listen to you. And we have an emotional intelligence expert here, Chomar, in the house. It's not just about wanting people to listen to you, but like Sister Eileen said, listen to be understood,
Mm-hmm.
to understand. You're listening to understand, not listening to respond. Because when you're trying to listen to respond, 90% of the time, or 99% of the time, you're giving the wrong response.
That's
Because
right.
at that point, it's mixed with emotions, or it's mixed with what you imagine was being said. You kind of misinterpret, you mishear, you miss everything. Like you literally miss. You get out of the way, you get out of your own path and get drive into a different dark path, and things go really sour. So
Mm.
guys, we're having some really hard conversations here. And let's hear from the emotional intelligence expert who said when responding, you have to choose your words carefully and equate it with the right body language, enlarge the gap between stimulus and response. Woo! Listen, Dr. Margaret, I told you we have some great people. Oh my God. Guys, this is why I'm always so excited. Thank you so much for that contribution. That's amazing. I love that. And please pass on this message, pass it on to other people around you. Don't try to have fun because people are fighting themselves. Because I find that, sometimes you get so excited, it's like, oh my God, look at these people are having a fight. And you feel it's time for you to laugh. No, it's time for you to step into your shoes as a leader
Mhm.
and help them out. Sometimes when they're having a problem, they're not even listening to each other. They're
Mhm.
probably just arguing, things are just going sour. You step in at that point to mediate for both of them. So there's so much that we're going to do. It's not just about your family. If you see it happening to your neighbors, please try to mediate, try to step in so that that's the only way the world will be a better place. We have to support each other. Listen to be able to understand, not listen to respond, because that's always
Mhm.
a big, big, big problem. We have to look at for how we can connect with your spouse, with your children, with your siblings, with your parents. Find ways to connect with them. And welcome, Udrak. It's great to have you here from Canada. Frank, it's good to have you here from Ghana. Thank you so much for joining us. Some of you who have joined, if I haven't mentioned your name, I just want to know that I love you very much. And Facebook has been amazing today. I don't want to say anything bad about Facebook. Facebook has been Facebook has been great. They've done their best for a Wednesday. They've been wonderful. This is a Wednesday during COVID. They've done wonderful. We've had to start several videos, but we're here now. So if you're just joining us, make sure that you go back to the beginning of this video because there's some great things for you to learn. And Dr. Margaret, before I let you go, I just want to, because, in the show, what we try to do is to have some really
Mhm.
hard talks, so that people can go away with it. We make it really raw. We don't make it pretty.
Mhm.
So let's go back to the drawing board again. So let's say all of these things are just going crazy and all of that. Nobody wants to talk to anyone. So let's look at the real scenario of a small home, because maybe like in North America, or maybe people who are blessed with bigger, spacious homes, they might have somewhere to sit alone. But think about someone who is in a face me, I face you kind of thing. We have that in Africa, right? Like a
Mhm.
one-bedroom apartment. How can you begin? When all of this has happened, when you've had conflict, when things have gone sour, how can you come back together? Because we have to go the extra mile. So let's say things have broken apart,
Right,
uh,
right,
connection, you don't see connection happening. It's like everyone is dying.
right.
You begin from again. Over to you, Dr. Margaret.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you asked because that is a reality in every relationship right now, even in friendships. That's a reality in families. And Louisa, I think that it is important to always begin with yourself.
Mm,
What you want to see in a relationship, you bring to the relationship.
yes.
So if there is conflict, things have fallen apart, and everyone is in a different direction, and you desire to
Mm,
see this union reconnected, to see that relationship and that communication in the home, that it is reactivated. You take the lead, be the bigger person
yes.
to seek that reconciliation, be the bigger person to initiate conversation, to ask questions, to make a request. Can we talk about what is going on? Can we talk about what's happening?
Mm,
And if you take the initiative, all the other party may be waiting for, maybe they are too proud to initiate it, or maybe they are afraid of initiating it because they don't know how you will respond, because some people are so afraid of rejection that they will not even begin the conversation because they are afraid of being rejected.
that is true.
So their silence doesn't mean they don't want peace or reconciliation. Their silence just means I am waiting here, and as soon as you engage me, I cannot wait to reconcile. So what you're looking for, initiate it. Be the one that begins or initiates what you want to see in your relationship. Civility is a two-way street. What
Yeah.
you are expecting to receive, you give. If
Yeah.
you don't receive it, give it. And more times, if you give it, you will receive something in return. So discuss, initiate the conversation, and during that conversation, be very sensitive. I mean, in that conversation, you need to lift up your listening gauge. It
Wow.
needs to be all the way up, because in that conversation, you will hear someone express their fear.
Mm,
They would express their disappointment
mm,
in how you handled the situation or in what happened.
mm,
They will be able to express to you how discouraged
mm.
they are, or how hurt they are. Do not pick words and do not focus on sentences.
Yes.
Focus deeply on hearing, and being listening actively is an intentional practice. You have to be intentional about hearing the whole story and not pieces of
Mm,
the story. And be very sensitive, because one or two of the people may be going through anxiety.
yes.
They're anxious about someone getting sick in the house and dying.
Mm,
They're anxious about having to go to the emergency room in the middle of the night.
mm,
We have children, and every now and then we think, what would happen if I have to rush to the hospital in the middle of the night? And especially knowing that COVID is a unique kind of virus.
yes.
Because with any other virus, when your family members are sick, they still have that emotional support. Or
Yes.
when you are sick, you have that emotional support. Somebody by your bedside to love on you, to talk to you. But this virus is unique in a sense that this isolation kills faster than the virus itself.
Mm,
So someone is very concerned about it, and we should be very sensitive. They may have lost a friend, a co-worker, a loved one, a neighbor, and they're thinking maybe I'm next. Maybe my house is next. It's very normal for people to feel this way, and we cannot point fingers. We have to just be intentional. We have to give people room to grieve. Louisa, we have not only lost people in this pandemic,
Oh,
we
yeah.
have lost our sense of being. We have lost businesses. We
That's right.
have lost opportunities. We have lost chances to work on our goals. We
Mhm.
have lost friends and connections. We have lost so much that people need to grieve. Yes, over that phone that's broken, allow them to grieve over it,
Mm,
because that phone means a lot to them in this season.
mm,
Allow them to grieve, and we can't just talk carelessly. We can't be insensitive. We
mm,
have to be look at people and in the eye and hear them, and hear where the voice is coming from, where the words are coming from. We cannot just listen to the voice. We have to listen to the source of the words, because that source tells you a lot about what's going on inside of the person. So I think these are some tips that I can share that people can employ in trying to resolve conflict and coming back together to bring unity in a relationship.
oh, this is so powerful, Dr. Margaret. I just kind of feel like sometimes when you're in the church and the pastor is just hitting it on, you want to go and throw your offering in front. I want to throw my offering.
Look, I'll take an offering right now.
Guys, pardon me. I mean, Dr. Margaret just brings out the best in me, seriously. But welcome, Chicas. It's good to have you in the house. Welcome, Tyler. It's good to have you in the house. If you're just joining us, the conversation is on relationship building, civilized relationships. I know you've been struggling. You've lost everything this period. You just feel like you want to scream on top of your head. I feel the same way too. I have lost people. I've lost opportunities. I've lost so many things. We don't want to talk about that. But this should not get in the way that we will love up on each other. Should not get in the way that we treat others in the right way with respect
Mhm.
and empathy and compassion. The next person is going through the same thing. So Dr. Margaret has shared tons of nuggets in this video. If you're just getting here, I will encourage you to watch this video from the beginning. Some of them are being sensitive when communicating, listening. It's an intentional practice. So if you've never listened before, if you're one of those who just used to listen because you want to respond, please begin from today to listen, to understand. Give yourself a couple of seconds before you respond. Don't go back to back. There's no competition. Slow down. Listen first. Try to understand the next person. Be in that space with them. Try to lean in so you're listening with your heart. Listen with your soul. Go into what they're, try to experience what's happening in their life. Give them their VIP moments. They're going through something. Listen, take a break. I know you have a lot of things you want to say, but take a break, because that can help us fix so much problems in the world. And guys, initiate that reconciliation. No one is going to win a prize. I'm not going to talk to you anymore. I don't want to talk to this person. No, no, no. I'm bigger than that. No, cut it off. Cut it off. We don't know when COVID is going to be done. And the worst thing is, like Dr. Margaret has just talked about, COVID is demonic. Because when you're sick, you need someone to hug you.
Mhm.
When you're sick, you need someone to tap you on your shoulder and ask you how you're feeling. But now you can't even do that. I mean, if you even clear your throat outside, people start running. It's like, what's going on? COVID is so bad, guys. So you don't want to add to the stress that other people are facing. So please take the time to connect. Take the time to love one another. Take the time to ask people how they're feeling. Don't make your choices or make your statements out of emotions. I know you're feeling bad, but drop the emotions first.
Mm.
Connect with that person. Find out what their why is. What's their frustration? Everyone is depressed. Everyone is sad. And guys, if you're still struggling with this, you still have a question, you have a contribution, please do not hesitate to send me an email. It's Louisa at thecivilityacademy.com. And I want to say thank you to all of you who have been asking for a session on relationship. And I believe that we've been able to break it down with relationships. I brought about 3 or 4 experts to work on this. If this is the first one that you're joining for, go ahead and look for the other videos. They're on my page, or join me on my YouTube channel. Please subscribe to me on my YouTube channel, okay? It's Louisa Akaiso. There's so many tons of videos. Follow me on Instagram. And of course, if you want to connect to Dr. Margaret Ellis, she is on social media. She's in all the right places. So she's on Facebook, Dr. Margaret Ellis. She's on Google. So that's the easiest way. You're going to find her on Google. She's on Instagram. She's on LinkedIn. Dr. Margaret Ellis, if you want to work with her one-on-one, please do so. It would be amazing. And of course, hashtag civilized presence so that she can take you on seriously. Because right now, most people at home, most people do not really have so much to do. And so we have tons of messages. And so you don't want people to miss your message when you actually had something good to say. Like, I mean, we get tons, hundreds of messages every single day. And guys, I love you very much. If I haven't responded to that message, please pardon me. But my inbox is filled up. But if you do send me an email, I'm going to take the pain to respond to you. So guys, thank you so much for your time. Thank you to all of you who have joined us from different places. I'm sorry that we have a couple of videos. I'm going to take off all the other videos and just make sure that we have one that's a complete video, because, you know, today I think the network was really bad with Facebook, but I'm grateful to God that we were still able to get this show going. So Dr. Margaret, thank you again and again and again for showing up with your awesomeness. Thank you for teaching your truth. Thank you for just being there and just, you know, preaching your message to the world, doing it every single day gracefully. Thank you for the work that you do, the impact, the value that you add to people. You are amazing. And I want to encourage you, my sister, to continue to do what you do, because the world needs your message now more than ever before. So thank you for coming on to the Civilized Presence. It's such an honor to have you here again and again. So thank you. So guys, of course, Heidi, it was great to have you here. We enjoyed ourselves here with Dr. Margaret, even though Facebook was a little shabby. But Facebook, we love you. So that next time we're going to make it happen. And we hope to see you again, guys, on Friday with another exciting topic. So you want to stay glued on my page, because we're changing the route, changing the direction of the conversation. We're done with relationships and we're going a different route. So guys, thank you for believing in me. And I hope to see you on Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Dr. Margaret, thank you. Have yourself a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you so much, Louisa, for having me.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.